Have you ever been so close to reaching your dream or your goal, or finally accomplishing something that you've spent your whole life preparing for, only to find out that there was somebody out in the world determined to see you fail? And not only that, but that they were willing to do whatever it was in their power to make sure that you did. Well, this is my story of exactly that, of how jealousy and sabotage almost shattered my dreams, and how I did everything in my power just to survive. This is story time right now. First of all, before we get started, before you do anything, please make sure if you're not subscribed to this video, hit that subscribe button. I really want you guys to stay connected to what I'm doing here week to week on this movement of inspiration and resource. So here we are, story time again. I mentioned just a few moments ago about jealousy and sabotage, and really that's what this story for me is about. I'll tell you, and I think I mentioned this before in one of my other videos, the video More About Me. You can always go and look for that video. I'll put the link down below, where I talk a little bit about my transition from Florida into the television industry through USC Film School. Well, this story has a lot to do with my very first job in the industry, okay? The show that I was working for, I had just gotten the job, was a show called Family Matters. Okay, that's that big funny Urkel story that we all like, you know, did I do that? That whole thing, okay? Steve Urkel. One of the biggest shows on ABC at the time. And for me, growing up watching that show, it was a dream come true to be a part of it. And here I was, a recent graduate from USC Film School. My first job in the business was a production assistant on Family Matters. So I get to this job, first day, excited, my backpack on, all my paperwork, pens and pencils. I mean, I'm ready to go. I don't know what to expect. Never really had a job in the industry prior to this. So this was really fish out of water, day one experience. I go in there expecting everyone to be just as excited and enthusiastic as I was. I soon learned that that's not quite how the business worked. But I did start my first day. I was greeted by everyone, and everyone seemed nice at first. Everyone seemed like they were trying to help me get acclimated to the new environment and the office and how things were run. And there was one particular young man that I was introduced to by the producer of the show. And he said, this is the person you're going to be working with. This is the person that's going to train you. This is the head production assistant, and you're going to work under this person and learn everything you need to know about the show and about what you need to do. And I said, great, perfect. I don't have to figure this whole thing out by myself. I don't have to learn by myself. I don't have to fall and make mistakes by myself. I have someone that's going to guide me and lead me and help me do well in this job. At least that's what I thought, right? So I meet this guy, and quite frankly, I really don't remember his name. So that shows you how significant he is in the overall big scheme of this story. But I remember that I was very friendly towards him, and I was very enthusiastic. And he seemed automatically, right from the jump, to be disgruntled and angry and bothered and agitated that I was even there. And no matter how hard I tried to warm up to him and get fuzzy wuzzy and just, you know, make jokes and have fun, he just wasn't having it. He really had it in his mind that I was a thorn in his side. So to make a long story short, we went through a few days on the first week, and I was trying my best to learn everything I could by watching him, but I noticed that he wasn't teaching me anything. He was always moving ahead of me, and I was always trying to catch up. And, you know, I was young and naive in the business, so I didn't really realize that this was his strategy to see me crumble and to see me not do well, and hopefully I wouldn't be there much longer. He wasn't used to having somebody else there working with him. He was used to running the show on his own, and here I come, fresh out of USC, fresh out of film school, ready to start this job, and he just wasn't really that in tune with that. And also, I learned that he had never gone to college, and he had never really had any formal training, and he really got in the business by somebody that he knew, and so he was kind of holding on to that. But in him holding on to that, he was sort of crushing me in the process, because no matter how hard I tried to do well, he made sure that I didn't do so well. And by the second week or the third week or so, I realized that I was going up an uphill battle dealing with him. And I noticed that not only was he not showing me the ropes, and not only was he not guiding me and trying to help me, but he was doing everything in his power to sabotage my work. He would tell me about dates that things were to be handled, like the to-do lists and tasks and the deadlines, but the deadlines would all be wrong. So I would always be late accomplishing the things that I was supposed to do. And then I was getting yelled at by the writers and the other producers in the room. And then I realized that he was having me do tasks that were not the tasks that he was instructed to tell me to do. And then, of course, because they knew him well enough, they knew him more than they knew me, they always believed everything that he said. So when he said, well, I told him to do X, Y, Z, and I said, no, you didn't. You told me to do Z, Y, P. They never believed me. And I was always on the end of the rope with the producers. They were always on the edge of letting me go because I wasn't measuring up. And I remember that I had to make a decision, probably the fourth weekend, because I wasn't going to make it if I relied on him to get me through this first month at this job. And I started to say to myself that I was going to overcome it. I was going to try to beat it with positivity and smiling and just trying to come in with a great attitude. But even that wasn't working. Even that wasn't enough. I took a step further and tried to notify the producers, and I pulled one of my contacts aside who had gotten me there in the first place and said, hey, this is what this young guy is doing. He's trying to sabotage me. And she knew there was something wrong because she knew his personality. And all she would tell me to do is just hang in there, just hang in there. Just try to pay attention to everything you can and try to work around it and just stay positive. Positive wasn't enough, because positive was still getting me yelled at, and positive was still making me miss deadlines and do the work that I was supposed to be doing the wrong way. And so I decided I would get a tape recorder, and I don't advise you to do this, but I was at my wit's end. I didn't know what else to do to prove that this guy had it in for me. I decided to get a tape recorder, and I wanted to hide it in my desk where I worked, because I knew that this guy was telling everybody around that I was not doing my work, or that I was coming in late, or just bad mouthing me. And I wanted to prove it so that I could take that and show the people that could make a difference. Well, here's the moral of the story there is he ended up finding that tape recorder, and then he ended up using it against me. He took that tape recorder that I used to try to protect myself against him, and he took that tape recorder to the producers and said, see, he's recording your writing sessions. He's recording your writing sessions. We don't need him here. Get him out of here. I came back from lunch one day, maybe the 5th or 6th week being there, and they said, Anthony, you got to go to Human Resources. That's where you're going to report. I go into the Human Resources office. I sit down. I meet with the Vice President of Human Resources for Warner Brothers. And I'll never forget her. She was such a warm, encouraging person. And she greeted me with, Anthony, I understand. I already know what you're dealing with. I said, well, how do you know? Like, what do you mean? And she said, well, before you got here, there were already complaints of this young man, and unfortunately, there wasn't much we can do because he's so tied in with one of the producers. And so he's there, and unfortunately, you can't be there. He doesn't want you there. He's going to do everything he can to make sure that you're not there, and he's already done that so far. And of course, at that moment, you think, well, that's it. It's over. I mean, I've worked my whole life to get to this point where I'm working for a television show. I'm in the door, my foot's in the door. I'm a part of a show I've watched as I grew up, and now it's over. It's just shattered. I can't do it anymore because he doesn't want me there. Why does he get to decide where I am? Why does he get to decide who gets to work there? Who is he? And when I think about it, I try to figure out why he was the way he was, or, and it took me a long time to figure this out, many, many more years of experience in this business to finally realize that it had very little to do with me at all. This was a guy who had been with the show for almost 10 years. He was watching other people around him accelerate in their field and get promoted and go into other shows and other big projects, and he was still a production assistant. And I understand for him, he was frustrated. And here I was, this new guy coming in, getting all of these different assignments and working my way up towards the writer's room. And that was one of the things that I think struck a chord with him when he saw me getting closer to some of the writers, and they were offering me opportunities to be a part of the room and a part of the discussion about scripts. That's when I think it went too far for him. And for many years, I kept battering myself, wondering if I could have done something different to make him like me and to make him work well with me, and not to cause such stress and strain on my first job. And it took everything in my power not to break down, literally, and just under the weight of it all. But I had a reassurance, both on the inside, just a settling feeling of confidence, of knowing that I was in the right and that everything was going to be okay. But also this young lady who was sitting across the desk from me, the human resources representative, she said, I have something else better for you, so don't worry. Better for me? Better for you. Don't worry. Because we've looked at your resume and we've talked to the producers at the show who were not tied in with that person that was obviously trying to sabotage you. We talked to other people and they shared with us the great work that you had done and how hard you had worked, and you would come on time and early to work and you would leave late, and the quality of your work and how positive you were and how friendly you were. And because of that, we know that there's a better place for you. And so she put me into a whole nother position. She elevated me. So when I talk about elevation, I mean, I literally went from working as a production assistant for one show, Family Matters, to working for the head of production for the entire Warner Brothers Studios. Now that's a promotion. And so that whole experience gave me an opportunity that I would have never been able to get from there. And even though that was not my plan, even though that wasn't what I intended to have happen, it turned out that it worked for my benefit. And sometimes things that try to work against us actually work for us. So you have to stay encouraged during those times. So I know you guys are listening to this story thinking, man, this is craziness. Wow, is the business like that, the entertainment business? Actually, it's not just the entertainment business, as I've already said. It could be any business, any place. You can run into somebody who doesn't want to see you succeed. People around you in your family, your friends, at school, at work. You're always going to find negative people for a variety of reasons. It could be jealousy, it could be fearfulness, it could be insecurities, whatever it is. All of these people I like to refer to as haters, right? We all call them haters. All of these people that are haters, that are saboteurs, you have to learn how to make those haters motivators in your life. You have to let those people who are trying to bring you down instead lift you up out of any kind of situation that they try to put you in. You are in control. Don't give them the power. Don't let them run away with your dream or your goal or your accomplishments. You have to decide that that is not going to go down. Haters are motivators. There are people determined to see you fail. There are people that would do anything to sabotage your success. And you will have to fight to survive, to make it sometimes. And you have to stay encouraged to do so. Above all else, you have to remain true to who you are. And so all of this to tell you, those of you who are watching, those of you who are listening, if you are going through something right now at school, at work, at home, where you feel like somebody is out to get you, or a bunch of people want to see you fail, you have to rise above that. You have to fight to survive. You have to do whatever you can in your power to stay above the sabotage, to make sure that your dreams aren't shattered and that you don't allow the discouragement to distract you from your goal and your dream. So the moral of today's story is take the moments that you have in your life, in your career, in your job, your family, and every moment that you have to rise above the negativity, do that. And I hope you get something from that today. And I hope you remember, no matter what, you have to resist fear. You have to overcome those challenges. You have to demand your dream. And that's today's story time. If you guys have a story that you'd like to share with me, I'd love to hear it. Please put that story down below in the comment section. I do read those. Be sure to share this video with your friends or your family or anyone you think might be inspired. You know how to reach me on my website and my social media. And please stay connected with me. I'm so happy you guys are here, and I'll see you guys real soon.